Okay, so today during story time, you learned about Zacchaeus, that guy that was climbed up a tree, and nobody liked Zacchaeus because he was a tax collector. But Jesus looked at Zacchaeus and invited him to dinner. And he treated Zacchaeus with kindness and love. So Jesus, often, in the stories that you hear this week, you'll recognize that Jesus treats people with kindness. Even people that no one else likes, Jesus treats well. So when you think about kindness, kindness is not just an act for someone you know and love that is nice to you. The greatest acts of kindness often are to people that you think don't deserve it, or maybe you don't really know them very well, or maybe they're not somebody you're very comfortable with. It doesn't matter. And you'll see that Jesus over and over and over is kind to people that most nobody else wants to be kind to. People that others don't like, people that others think are not right or not good. Zacchaeus was a tax collector. They were not people's favorite people. But Jesus saw that Zacchaeus was a man and who deserved the kindness and love. And so he invited him to come out of that tree and have dinner with him when no one else would. So remember that your act of kindness can make a difference in someone's life, like Jesus made a difference in Zacchaeus' life. Hey, Ocean Commotion campers, welcome to your first day of Imagination Station. Today, I wanted to start out with something fun, because dropping stuff in a pool is always fun, but it's actually going to teach us a lesson, too. I have my trusty assistants here today, otherwise known as my kids, Hannah and Jace. And don't worry, we're being safe because Hannah's a lifeguard and she's here to rescue everything that we drop in the pool. So don't worry about it. And I want you to remember, if you're going to try this at home, in your own pool or in a friend's pool, ask the adults first before you drop things in the pool. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get started. And I have my lifeguard in the pool. And my lifeguard actually has a GoPro camera. She's going to video record us dropping stuff in the pool, and we are looking to see whether different objects can make a ripple effect when we drop them in the water. Even the really light objects. Do you guys think a really light object would make a ripple effect in the pool? So here's our experiment. Does anything we drop in the pool make a ripple effect? Probably. What do you think? Maybe? Maybe not? All right, so we're gonna get a chance and you'll see all the things that we're gonna drop in before we drop them. All right, you guys ready? Let's go. Don't worry, kids. No vegetables or fruits were harmed in the filming of this video. They're okay. We'll be eating them tonight for dinner. Hey, Ocean Commotion campers. Welcome back. And you just watched me and some of my friends demonstrating the ripple effect of kindness in a pool. But since most of you probably don't have pools, I thought we would recreate this on a small scale so you can do it at home. So what you guys are going to need is a bowl or a bucket or a pie plate or something that you can put some water in and fill it up. Because what you're going to want to do is be able to see some ripples and waves that we're going to make. Also in your kit, you should have a ping pong ball little tiny bouncy ball, a metal nut. You're gonna have 2 different size rocks, so a bigger rock and a smaller rock. And this is fun because you can add whatever else you want to use at home. I have some feathers, a marshmallow, and then I have some grains of rice. You could use a cork, you could use a cotton ball, you can use anything that's around your house that you think would be fun to test to drop it in here, okay? So what we talked about in our previous experiment in the pool was that there are small acts of kindness that would be something teeny, like a grain of rice, like smiling at someone, holding the door open for them, maybe picking up your stuff so your mom and dad don't have to do it. Just teeny little everyday things that you can do to show kindness to others. So I'm gonna take this one little grain of rice and we're gonna drop it in our water and we're gonna see whether or not it actually makes a ripple, okay? Now remember, in the pool, we dropped some pretty big items and made some pretty big ripples. Do you think this tiny little act of kindness, or rice, is too small to make a ripple? All right, here we go. So what do you think? Did it make a ripple? Did you see a ripple? Okay, I saw a little ripple, but not too big. So next, I'm gonna take a ping pong ball. And what do you think? Do you think it's gonna make a bigger ripple than that little grain of rice or a smaller ripple? It's pretty light. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I saw a ripple. Did you guys see one? I think the ripple I saw was bigger with the ping pong ball than with the grain of rice. Now, how about this little metal nut? It's kind of heavy, but it's not very big. So do you think it's gonna make a bigger ripple than the ping pong ball and the rice, or do you think it's gonna make a smaller ripple? I don't know, we'll have to test it, let's see. That made a pretty big ripple and a splash. Okay, well I'm gonna try my little bouncy ball. So do you think this is gonna make a bigger ripple than the nut and the rice and the ping pong ball? Tell me your prediction. You gotta tell me. All right, here goes bouncy ball. That's a pretty good ripple. All right, let me take that one out. And now, this is gonna be funny. Do you think something as light as a feather, which would be a very tiny act of kindness, maybe just a smile at a neighbor? And I know sometimes it's hard to smile now and nobody knows you're smiling because you're wearing a mask, but that's okay. Could this teeny tiny light feather possibly create a ripple in our ripple of kindness? Let's see. Little bit, teeny tiny little bit. Just a little. Now this one, this is a wide, flat rock, and it's pretty heavy. So what do you think's gonna happen when we do this? Because when I dropped the metal nut, the nut's not as heavy as this rock. So I predict that this rock, because it's heavier than the metal nut and because it has a flat bottom, is going to make a bigger ripple. All right, you guys ready to try? I have a feeling it's gonna splash me too. 1, 2, 3. I would say that made the biggest ripple of all, and a mess. And don't worry, science is messy. Just tell your mom and dad. Okay, so we kind of saw a ripple effect of that big flat rock, and now I have a little teensy one. and it's still flat. It's a little lighter than the metal nut. So I'm not sure what kind of ripple I'm going to get out of it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. That's a pretty good ripple. Nothing too spectacular. Okay, now here's one of the fun ones that I thought we should try. A marshmallow. Now marshmallows, kind of big. It's about the size of the ping pong ball. It's heavier than a ping pong ball, but not much. And if you've ever messed around and played with a marshmallow, you know that marshmallows are squishy and they have a lot of air inside of them. It's easy to smash it. So do you think this marshmallow is going to make much of a ripple? It's pretty light. What do you think? If you don't have marshmallows at home, that's okay. You can try something else, but I just thought it would be fun to have a marshmallow. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was pretty impressive. My marshmallow made a splash and it made a ripple. But what you guys need to remember is even though you think something, a small act of kindness, something the size of a grain of rice, something very simple, won't really make a difference in your world. What if one little grain of rice doesn't make a very big ripple? What if you take a bunch of little acts of kindness? See, a whole bunch of little acts of kindness. What do you think's going to happen if we put all these little acts of kindness out? Will it make a ripple effect? Because one doesn't make much. But if I take all these small acts of kindness, I put them together and I dump them in, do you think we'll make a big ripple effect? All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3. I did. It made a ripple that's pretty big. It's even still going. So don't forget, you guys, one little act of kindness is never wasted. You put a bunch of little acts of kindness together and you can have a huge impact and spread kindness all around you. Okay, now for some questions. First, the science questions. Which object that I dropped or that you dropped made the largest splash and ripple? I'm going to say my largest ripple was this big, heavy, flat rock. Okay? That one splashed all the way out and onto the floor. The metal nut made a pretty good one, and it splashed out too. These are two of the heaviest items that I have that we dropped in here. So I'm thinking, you might think this isn't a very big act of kindness. Maybe this is taking your neighbor some cookies. Well, if your neighbor is really lonely, like a lot of people are right now, what you think is just a small act of kindness of taking someone's cookies, that's going to change how that person feels for a long time. The ripple effect is bigger. Okay? Now, since this gave us the biggest ripple effect, can you guys think of something that would be a really big act of kindness that would send ripples far out into the world? Are you thinking of something? Maybe that's too big a think for you, and that's okay. Think of what could the ping pong ball represent? How about the ping pong ball could represent making a lunch for someone who's homeless, who you maybe see out on the street, or you see them at the off-ramps of the freeway, and finding someone and taking them that lunch and handing them that lunch and saying, you know what, God loves you. Maybe that's the only kindness they see that day. That's a big ripple. And it's not that hard. It's really not hard at all. You know, I haven't really thought of anything good to represent that giant ripple. But I bet if you are paying attention, you can hear stories about someone who came up with an idea for a really, really big act of kindness that sent ripples all around the world, like this.